backed out, rolled out of there. That was the last time I ever saw him in person. This was probably 96. So I'm out. At least I thought it was out. When I left that office, I had the bar. It took about 2 years for me to stop running into people from that business that I knew, which was good because I didn't want anybody, people that started coming to the bar, the regulars, after 2 years, they didn't know me. Nobody knew me from that. So about after 2 years, I stopped running into people from that business, all the bar owners. Sometimes they would come in and talk to me, and I just didn't want to, wouldn't be involved in that. I was doing my own thing. So in the fourth year, I'm doing pretty good. I'm making good money. Then I get served by the state of Maryland. I get served, and my accountant gets served. And I'm like, what the hell is this? And they want to do an extensive audit of my business. So I'm calling my accountant. I said, what's this all about? He goes, oh man. He goes, who the hell did you piss off in government? I said, what are you talking about? He goes, this is like a state audit of everything pertaining to your business. And I knew as a business owner coming from that industry about laundering money and other things, I knew what I was doing wrong. Because back in the 90s, I didn't start taking credit cards at probably late 90s. And this is still 96, 98, 99. It still was pretty much all cash. So I knew what I was doing wrong. So I had this month-long audit. And they said somebody had said something, I was doing illegal things. So I'm thinking, that motherfucker. I'm thinking maybe it was Sonny. Maybe he waited 4 years till I thought everything was quiet and dropped a dime on me. So anyway, I had this they show up and they tell me on a Thursday that come Monday I need to be at my accountant's office. And I need to sit down there with these two auditors from the state while they go over all my paperwork and they answer questions. And I said, no, I can't do that. And they're like, oh, you're refusing that? I said, I work here. I was a cook. I said, I can't come down here. So she goes, well, we'll come up and sit in your office. This is one of the inspectors. I said, come on up. I don't have a fucking office. So the woman comes up, looks around. She goes, show me your office. She's walking around. The curb shop was a small place. She goes, where's your office? And in the kitchen. I had the kitchen. And my sandwich unit. I had a cutting board where I made sandwiches. I had an area with a toaster, stainless steel top, and I had a slicer. So she goes, where you do your paperwork? I pulled my briefcase up and I laid it on the stainless steel top by the slicer, and I opened the briefcase up and said, grab a seat right there. That's my office. But I said, when I get busy, you're going to have to leave the kitchen. So she didn't like that. But I told her, I said, I don't have an office. I can't leave. I'm the cook. So she had the ask. She goes, well, you need to be available by phone if you have questions. So I had this month-long audit, and I needed to lose weight, but that's not a way to lose weight. I think I lost 15 pounds in a month. I wasn't even trying. Because like I said, I knew what I was doing wrong. Well, she made an error. She fucked up. She had an accounting error. She thought I was skimming 100 a day, according to my register tapes. And she leaves me the register tape as an example. So I go over it. On a Friday, I go over it, and she left a 3-month extension saying she needs 3 more months to look over my stuff. So I call my attorney. He goes, you can't sign that. You'll be out of business. He goes, what's your accountant charge? He said, $250 an hour. He goes, she's been there a month? I said, yeah. My accountant wasn't going to charge me for a month worth of work for $250 an hour. I'd be bankrupt. But he had to charge me something. So he said to my attorney, he goes, what's with this $100 a day? I said, she's wrong. It was accounting area. I said, it was 1 cent. I said, I did it 3 times. I went to my accountant. He added it 3 times. It's 0.01. It's 1 penny. She came up with $100 a day. He goes, well, prove her wrong. And then that's the end of that. So she showed up Monday and said, did your client sign? And my accountant said, no, he's not going to sign. Call his attorney. She called my attorney, said the same thing. I'll be bankrupt. I can't. And then my accountant said, look, you made an error. It was only 1 cent. She goes, well, I still need him to sign this because we need to look at his stuff further. He's like, well, do what you want. And she come down to the bar and said, had the paper saying I need you to sign this. I said, do what you've got to do. I'm not signing anything. I said, I proved you wrong. So based on your extension you want, it's not valid. So call my attorney, sue me, do whatever. I'm not signing it. So she left in a huff. So I told my attorney that, and he's like, oh, we don't know what they're going to do. We don't know what they're going to do. They could come at you. I said, I'm going by. She showed me the tape, the evidence, that it was $100 off, and I proved her wrong. So I'm not signing it. He goes, well, you're right, but you don't know what they're going to do. So a week later goes by. She calls me, and then I get a letter, and she says, case closed. Everything's fine. So it could have been a bad, I'm sweating it, thinking, like, I know what I'm doing wrong. They didn't find it. So I think maybe that was a phone call by Sonny. I don't know. So anyway, 2000, I think it's like 2001. So I left him in 96. 2001 was about a year after that. we're building this, I had an accident. I got a pretty big settlement from this accident I was in. So I'm building this 3,500 square foot home in Shrewsbury. So we're in an apartment, me and my wife and my kids. I have 2 kids and 2 boys. So the phone rings in the apartment, and I answer it, and I hear this, Mr. Schiffbauer, this is Agent Smith from the Federal Bureau, from the IRS, federal government. And I'm so like, yes. And she says that I need to come talk to you tomorrow. Would that be good? And she's like, at this address. And she knew the address of the apartment. Well, she knew the freaking phone number of the apartment. And I said, and she goes, what's that, Mr. Schiffbauer? I said, that's my attorney. Feel free to call him. Boom, she slammed the phone down. And it's funny with attorneys, like, you might call your attorney and maybe they get it then, maybe an hour later, maybe the end of the day, maybe they call you the next day. It's not always immediate, because they're busy, they have clients. It wasn't 5 freaking minutes, my phone's ringing, the department phone's ringing. And I answered the phone, and it's my attorney. He said, Paul, it's Sydney. And I said, yeah. He goes, you know what it's about, right? And I said, I have an idea. He goes, it's about your brother-in-law. It's about your brother-in-law, Sonny. And this is 2001. Here, last I seen him was 96. And he said she informed me that she will come talk to you tomorrow at 10 a.m. at where you're living now, or she will drag you before a grand jury in Northern Virginia, and she will talk to you there on the stand. And he goes, I prefer her talk to you there because if you're under oath talking to a grand jury, I don't know what they're going to ask you. And I said, all right, well, she can come here. He goes, well, I'll call her and tell her to come there. You want me to come up there and meet you? I said, no. He goes, you sure? I said, no, I know what the subject matter's about. I know what it's about. It's about Sonny. He goes, all right, good luck. So he goes, call me, let me know how it goes. So hang the phone up. So I'm a little uptight. You know what? The feds are coming to see me. She wouldn't tell me what it's about, but I had an idea what it was about. So there's a knock on the door. It's 10 o'clock. They're prompt. I guess they teach you to be prompt at federal school. So she opens the door, shows me her badge, Agent Smith, and the gentleman behind her shows his badge, didn't tell me his name. They come in, my wife's sitting at the table, I'm sitting here, Agent Smith, and the other feds down the end. So she starts asking me questions about my relationship to Sonny and what do I know about his vending business and these deposits. They had me with signatures of me doing deposits of like $10,000 in his accounts, and then doing deposits in his business accounts for like $30,000 and $40,000 at different times. Hey, I'm just doing what I'm told. I'm getting paid to do it. Well, what about this and that and the collections and was he underreporting and all? And I'm like Agent Smith. I said, I don't know anything about that. I just went to the bank and I ran the cigarette route and fixed some equipment. That's all I know. But she knew because they were on us. They were on us for a year. She knew I was collecting and all. And she said, oh, well, you did this. And I said, well, you don't really know what I did when I went in those places. And she kind of snarked at me. And I said, so you see me going places. You don't know what I'm doing. I'm fixing equipment. I'm taking pool balls, pool sticks. I'm taking out pool sticks, replacing them. I don't know what you're talking. I don't know what kind of money he was making. I have no idea. I went to the bank and I, because back then if you deposit more than 10 grand, they want your number. They take your ID. So apparently they had my name on certain things. I said, it wasn't my money. It was the business money. So she thought I knew what was going on. She knew I knew what was going on, but I didn't allude to that. So then she starts. We're about a half an hour, 45 minutes into it. And then she starts going, the curb shop. I've had the curb shop since 93. And this was 2001. And she's like, oh, it's just us talking here, Mr. Schiffbauer. We know you have 2 poker machines. She knew the whole layout of the bar. You got 2 TVs, the jukebox, and we have 2 poker machines up front. She goes, it's just us here talking, that you pay off your regulars. It's just us, And the guy sitting at the end of the table never says a word the whole time. He's just sitting there looking at me, and he's taking notes. He's just staring at me, taking notes. And she's like, it's just us talking, we know, you do, you pay off your regulars. It's okay, it's just us talking. I said, that's great. You think you know what goes on in my business on a daily basis. But I'm not going to sit here and incriminate myself on that subject. I agree to talk to you about my ex-brother-in-law, who I haven't seen since 96. It's now 2001. And I've answered all the questions to the best of my ability. And I'm not going to sit here and talk about what you think's going on in my business. Anything else you need, call my attorney. And my wife was like, I didn't yell, scream. I know my rights. I answered the questions. I basically told them, now you can leave. There's the door. And she closed her book, kind of pissed off. The guy closed his pad, and they looked at the front door of the apartment. I live on the ground floor. And they're constantly looking around, so they said, we're leaving out back. I said, okay. So I opened the slider for him, and the out back went to like grass. It was a stream out back. And then he walked around, had to walk around the building to get out to the car. So my wife goes, why did they leave out the back? And I said, they're looking. They're looking for anything in plain sight, something expensive. We're looking around in the apartment if that's something there of like tremendous value, where they can say, oh, he says he makes X amount, but he's got this Ming vase or whatever. That I thought was the last time I was going to talk to them. 4 years go by, and I'm doing my thing, and I'm feeling good, I'm making money, and living life. My kids are getting big. We're traveling and all. There's politicians coming into place, judges, lawyers, doctors. I mean, it's like a melting pot. It's like a Cheers, I totally forgot about that thing with the feds till the phone rang one day. Like I said, this is 4 years since this interview, and the phone rings, and I hear this, Mr. Schiffbauer. I'm like, yes. And she's like, Agent Smith. I said, I felt my gut like dropped. I said, oh, what can I do for you? She goes, I need to come serve you as a material witness for the United States of America versus Sonny P. Warren. And I said, do what? I'm like, do what? She's like, I need to come serve you as a material witness the case against Sonny Warner coming up, whatever the date, April or May, whatever it was. And I'm thinking like, okay. She's like, you're at, and that was this house I built. It was 3,500 square feet. I mean, it was a huge house. It was like my dream home, And I'm thinking like, I don't want her setting foot in my house. I don't need her looking around or anything. I mean, she probably knows the house, but I don't need her coming to my house. And she said she's coming up from Northern Virginia. I said, Agent Smith, I'll tell you what, I'll save you. I said, I'm down at the bar all the time working. I said, just stop by and serve me at the bar, I said, I'm there, save you a 40-minute trip, And she goes, well, I can come up there. I said, no. I said, Agent Smith, I'm always here. If you drive my house, you could be wasting your time. So if you got to serve me, I'm at the bar. So I'm at the bar from 6 in the morning to 11 o'clock at night. So unless you want to show up at my house before 6 or after 11, come serve me at the bar. So she's, okay, I'll be seeing you. So I'm like, fuck. I get off the phone. I call my attorney. And I'm frazzled. I'm like, oh, man. So I call him up. I said, Sidney, I just got a call from the feds. He's like, man, I thought that was over. I said, yeah, me too. He goes, what'd she say? I said, she wants to serve me as a material witness for this case coming up in Northern Virginia. You don't need to be on trial for anything. You don't need to be asked anything. You don't know what they're going to answer. You don't know what they're going to ask you. They turn around they filed you for a year. You never know what they're going to ask you. I said, yeah, tell me about it. He goes, well, this is the thing. He goes, the way it works, once you're notified by the feds, and I didn't know this, he says, she has 30 days to serve you. I said, okay. So he says, let's see what happens. So I'm waiting, 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, a week, 2 weeks. And I'm like thinking, when is she going to serve me? I'm not calling. I might have my attorney call when you serve my client. And I'm worried about, get my lawyer down there. And I'm worried about what I'm going to say. And I'm thinking of all these possibilities, of all these things they could possibly ask me. So the 28th day, I had a radio in the back that I used to listen to the news all the time when I was cooking. And I hear on the radio, a news break, Sonny Warner, former nightclub owner, machine operator, pleads guilty to money laundering, like racketeering. It was like 3 or 4 charges. He made the news. When I called my attorney, I said, I heard it. He's like, I heard it. I heard it on the radio. It was all over the place. This he got it. And he did the close. He was going to do close to 2 years in the Fed lockup for what they got him doing, laundering money and stuff, different crimes that they caught him doing, not near all the crimes he probably should have been charged for or charged with. But that was the last of my involvement with FEDS or anything in pertaining to Sonny Warner.